Well, I saw you're in the show. And I thought, okay, was that good?
Okay, now we're going live. Now we're live.
Hey, everybody. This is Becky with Sling County Library. Thank you for joining today. We have Sue Fehlberg here. She is the certified KonMari expert that follows the Marie Kondo program. And if you can, we're going to wait a few minutes and see if anybody else will log in. And we're going to try to ask, we want you to ask questions like what issues you have with clutter. Is it paper? Is it clothes? What needs organizing? You know, any of those kind of issues. What's the most cluttered area of your house? So it's almost 7. So Sue, did you struggle, curious with clutter before you started this?
No, I really haven't. I've always been kind of tidy, and I like getting rid of things. If I'm stressed out, I like to go through a closet and just thin it out. My husband, on the other hand, has struggled with being tidy, so he's kind of come along. He said struggles. He's here in the room with me. It's not natural for him, and it doesn't bring him joy to go declutter a closet. But I've always liked having things tidy, and I like finding things right away and not having to search for things. How about you?
I struggle with papers sometimes. It's something I need to stay on top of because I'm fixing to shred some tax forms that I no longer need and stuff like that. I gotta keep after it because it's like, oh yeah, I need to remind myself, but do I really need to keep that piece of paper?
Right. Paper's a tough one. A lot of people struggle with that, especially my generation, because when we started out, our families or our homes or whatever, we kept this huge filing systems, and we really don't need them nowadays with all the
right. Yeah, you don't need that phone book hardly anymore. Take out menus because all that's
I don't even know if they give you phone books anymore, do they?
There's a few. I know they're not as big as they used to be, and it's not as detailed, not as good. But yeah.
So after all the talks last year that I went to with you, did you go home and do any tidying?
Yes, I will say I am doing so much better about getting stuff in order so I can find it and kind of learn the lesson of if you put it up now, you don't have to come back later or spend your weekend cleaning. You could actually do something fun instead of, I've got to go, because it takes longer. If you got more stuff, it takes longer to clean because you've got to pick it up and move it.
And but kind of been tidy, but it doesn't come really naturally. Like every morning when I get out of the shower, we have a little tote that we keep all our shampoos and things in, and then take it out of the shower and put it under the sink because it's also our guest bath. But every morning I want to leave that tote in there. I don't want to take it out. So it's not like, oh, I'm really anxious to clean everything. It takes a teeny bit of effort, but it's totally worth it when I come in and the bathroom's clean. So it is there is still some effort, but it's so much easier.
Yeah, I catch myself sliding. Oh, I'll get that later, and then I see it and I'm like, why didn't I put that up? It's just been so easier. But I think I could still probably use another class because I'm still working on it. It's still a process for me. Right. But I know there were several people when you were at our library last year that said, oh, I missed the class, and I'm hoping now they can catch it. So I'm excited about that. So
yeah. It's tricky during this time because a lot of people, I wrote a blog post about this. A lot of people are like, okay, since the middle of March, I've been stuck at home. My house should have been tidy by now. I should have been able to go through everything. And I should have learned how to make sourdough starter. And, people are putting so much pressure on themselves. But this is a good time to, if you want to tidy, but if you just need to get through the day, then just get through the day. So, you got to do what's going to work for you right now. It's difficult times for sure.
Yeah, but I know coming home to a nice, clean, tidy house is so relaxing. It's not, oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I didn't do the laundry or whatever you've got piled. To not have those piles when you come home, to me, it makes a difference.
Oh, for sure. And getting out of in the morning too is so much easier when you know where everything is.
Yes.
You have things done and you can spend your weekend doing things. We just spent a couple weekends building a deck out to the lake, and we've been doing our garden. So when you do have stuff in order and you can put your house together quickly, you can spend time on other things that are more fun.
Right. Yeah, and I think it also can save money because you've got something. Because I found that when I started cleaning after your class, I'm cleaning under my sink, and it's like I've got two of these. Why do I have two? It's because I couldn't find that other one.
Right. Remember
Yeah.
that lady? I showed the picture of that lady with the 6 glue guns because she had them all over the house, and she just would have to go buy a new one because she couldn't find any of them.
Right. And so yeah, it can save money. So that's a good incentive.
Right.
So
And then it kind of hones your taste too. You find out when you're releasing things that you bought, maybe something you bought on a whim, you don't really want to keep after all. So it makes you a better shopper, and you end up buying less. I think less but better is the way we talk about it.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Um I was hoping somebody was logged on with some questions, but I don't see any yet. Um have you had any very interesting cases of people? Well, I do want to say one thing though. I was very impressed, and that's one reason I wanted to have you on again. I love the way you talk to people about decluttering. It's not like go in and get rid of everything and, just super strict. You take your time and go through stuff, a little at a time. You don't clean up the whole house. Because I know I've started before I talked to you and made a big pile, a big mess. And it's like, and then you're overwhelmed.
Right.
Because if you bite off more than you can chew. Yeah.
Right. And the big difference is you're not looking at what you want to get rid of, you're looking at what you want to keep. So it's a totally different mindset.
Right.
You're keeping the things that bring you joy. And so it's a happy experience, not a like, oh, I need to get rid of junk. It's like, ooh, what do I want to keep? So it's an optimistic way to do this.
Right. Right. Yeah. I was trying to check to see if any had any questions. I don't see anything yet.
Okay.
Do your children do the KonMari method pretty much?
They do. My girls are grown. They're 30 and 26, and I started it, but they kind of came along behind me, and they're always kind of honing the things they like. They aren't as tidy as I am either. Their rooms get messy, and my daughter's apartment gets messy, but everything that they own has a place to go, and so they can put things away quickly when
Yes.
they do. And it's the same as our house. It's not always perfectly tidy. People ask me that. Is it everything always put away? Well, no,
Right.
not always, because we all work and we're busy. So sometimes things are out of place, but it just takes us 5 minutes to get the house put back into order. So that's one of the things I get asked the most is my place always tidy? The next thing I get asked, second thing I get asked is, where do you start? And as you know that you went through my course several times, you start with a certain category and you go in a certain order, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. You go from one category that's easier and go to another category all the way down till you get to the hardest one. So you start with clothing, and we're going to go over that in more detail.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's about 6 after, so let's go ahead and get started. And I guess I will turn it over to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So as Becky said, I'm a KonMari consultant. Right now, I'm the only one in Arkansas. I've got a friend who is either just certified or getting really close. So there's going to be 2 of us. But I got certified a couple of years ago and have been seeing, oh gosh, just lots of clients and going through this process with them. And the difference with the KonMari method is that it's a one and done kind of thing. You may be refining it as you go along, but it's really, you're doing this once and for all. We call it a tidying festival. And it really is a joyful way to go through and get your house decluttered. So the way that I found this method was through this book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And it's written by Marie Kondo. And it talks about how to go through a system of tidying that's kind of different than anything that people had recommended before. Like some people will say, clean 1 drawer a day and you'll be through your household in a couple of months or something. But she decided that it wasn't working for her to do it that way. She'd been tidying since she was a child. She loved it, but she would get frustrated because things would just get messy again. So she finally came upon this system, which is what I'm going to talk about. And she's helped thousands of people go through their house and become clutter-free once and for all. So I'm going to talk about first the 6 steps that you follow to have a successful tidying journey. So the first step is to imagine your ideal day. A lot of people jump in and say, okay, I'm going to clean my closet and we'll be done with this and it'll be great and I'll just move on to the next thing. But really, if you take a step back and start thinking about why you want to do this, you'll be more successful. I didn't think it was that important at first, but after seeing client after client after client, the ones that stick with it are the ones that really have a vision for what they want their home to look like. So you could think about your ideal day like, I want to get up and exercise, and then I want to take a shower in my clean bathroom, and then I want to put on some clothes that I know everything in my closet fits and I like all of it. So it's not a big hassle like trying on one thing or another. I can just get dressed easily. I can eat breakfast and my kitchen is clean from the night before, grab my purse and my keys in the same spot they're always kept in, and head out the door without any stress. So that's part of my ideal day. Also, our family, our ideal lifestyle is such that we want to have friends over a lot. So we need to have our house be easy to get clean quickly and low maintenance. We've made choices in our decorating and in our flooring and things like that. We live on a lake, thankfully, and we want people to feel free to walk in with their wet feet if they need to. So we've surrounded ourselves with things that are kind of low maintenance and just friendly for people to come into. So that's part of our ideal lifestyle as well. So if you step back and think about that, think about what you're aiming for, it'll be easier to kind of keep going when the going gets a little tougher. One of my clients said she just wanted to sit down at the end of the night and have a place to have a cup of tea without seeing a bunch of stuff all around her. Another one wanted to get through her morning with her daughter and get her off to school without either of them crying. So once she got through this method, they were able to achieve that. So anyway, imagine your ideal day. The next thing, the second step, is to commit to tidying up. That's important, especially right now. Make a commitment if you want to do this. If you're not ready to do it, don't do it yet. If you have a wedding coming up, or if you are starting school, or you're going to be homeschooling your children for the first time, this may not be the perfect time to do this. But if you are ready to do it, then just commit to it. And we try to have people finish within 6 months. It takes a shorter amount of time for some people, longer amount for other people. But if you can commit to it, put it on the calendar, maybe say every weekend we're going to work on this for a certain amount of hours, or join in with a friend if you both can wear masks and social distance, and do it one weekend at her house, one weekend at your house, whatever you need to do, but you need to really commit to it. The third step is the most important one, and that is to finish discarding first. People go to the container store and they get shelving units, and nothing against the container store. I love it as much as anybody, but you don't want to go and buy a bunch of things to store stuff that you really aren't going to keep in the long run. So it's a good idea to finish discarding first. You're going to go through everything you have, and once you see what you're going to keep, then you can make decisions about finding any kind of storage things you need. Typically, when we go through someone's house, we put the storage units, they have the bins and the baskets and things, we keep them all in a pile, and then at the end, we're able to use them in different ways to store the things they keep, and it's weird. It's like the magic of tidying up in another way, but we almost always have the correct amount of storage containers at the end. So we're going to imagine our ideal day, commit to tidying, finish discarding first, and the fourth thing, which another thing that really sets this method apart, is that we tidy by category, not location. So you're not going to go and tidy your kitchen or your bedroom. You're going to tidy by category, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. It makes a world of difference. You know exactly where to start. You disregard everything else except what's in that category, and it's specifically ordered so it goes from easier to harder. Just like I said, it goes easier to harder. We want to make sure that we follow the right order, and that's step number 5. Do you have a question, Becky?
Yeah, we did have a question, and you kind of went over it briefly, but they wanted to know if you have to get everything in a particular category out and go through it.
Yes.
So
Yes. So for example, when you're doing clothing, you want to gather your clothing from all over the house. If you have stuff in the attic or in the basement or in different closets, I've known people that have had 4 bedrooms with closets, clothing in each of the closets. So yeah, gather it all together so you see how much you have. And it's not meant to shame you or embarrass you or anything if you have a giant pile. It's to let you know what you have and to confront the amount of things you have and to see how many duplicates you have, because you may be able to get rid of some of those extra things. All right, so 5 was follow the right order. And 6, the way you're going to decide whether you keep something or not is you're going to hold it and ask yourself if it sparks joy. And it sounds kind of funny to have to hold every single thing, but there's something about it that makes a difference. I think it's because it makes you slow down. Like instead of just flipping through your shirts and saying, yeah, no, you're going to hold each one and look at it and really think about it and think, does this feel good on me? Do I like the way it looks? Do I like the way it lays when when I'm folding it? Does it feel good? And does it mean something to me? And is it useful? Do I want to keep it? You can ask yourself all those kinds of questions. And by pausing for just a minute, it makes you feel whether you should keep something or not. That sounds funny, but it really does make a difference by touching every single thing. So you're going to ask if it sparks joy. If it does, keep it with confidence, no matter what anybody else thinks. We have a rusty old mailbox sitting on the top of our entertainment center that my grandpa had at his farm. Nobody else would want it, but it sparks joy for me, so I keep it with confidence, and that's what you can do too. And if you want to keep 10 pairs of black pants, keep 10 pairs of black pants. My aunt did that, and they all spark joy, and that's fine. That's another one of the questions I often get asked, like, how many pairs of pants should I have? Well, if they all spark joy and you want to keep them all and you have the space for it, then keep as many as you want to. So it's not about a number of things. It's not about minimalism. It's about keeping the amount of things that make you feel comfortable and that spark joy for you. I know if I get some new shirts or something and they're starting to make my drawers feel kind of tight and jammed, then I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to get rid of some more things. So it's a different comfort level for everybody. And you'll find that as you go along. All right, we talked about tidying by category, and I'm going to talk about, there's 5 categories in the KonMari method. And I love this part of the method because it's so easy. You don't have to think, where do I start? You start with category 1, which is clothing. So like the viewer asked, do you gather the clothing from everywhere? Yes, you do. You gather it all in a big pile. If you have a ton of clothing and you think it's going to take you a long time, you might want to use a guest room or a different space so it's not on your master bedroom or your bed, so you can't go to bed that night. But anyway, gather them all together. If it's too daunting for you to have all the categories at once, maybe pull out all your shirts and then pull out all your pants and dresses or something like that. I've had clients, when I pulled out all their clothes, they were just overwhelmed. So we took just the shirts, still overwhelmed. So we just took short sleeve shirts, and then she could make decisions that way. For some people, it's really tricky to make decisions when they have too many choices. So if you need to narrow it down, do that until it's comfortable for you. Anyway, you're going to go through all your clothing piece by piece, seeing whether it sparks joy. If it does, keep it. If it doesn't, part of the KonMari method is to thank things. I don't think if you don't say thank you to the shirt, it's not gonna get its feelings hurt. However, taking a minute to pause and be grateful for something that you had, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. So to think like, I'm glad I have this shirt. I no longer need it. I have something that works better right now, and I'm ready to let go of this. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to have it. And now I can pass it on to someone else who can use it. Speaking of that, especially going through clothes, if you want to pass on your clothes, I think it's a good idea for most people to just get them out of their house. I've gone to clients' houses and they say, I'm going to sell these on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or something, or eBay, and then I'll come back 2 weeks later and the pile will be there. And I'll come back 2 weeks later and the pile is still there. So you might sell them. Some people do sell things, but the majority of people, I think it's better to put them in a bag and take them somewhere to donate them. One of our favorite places is Live Thankfully. It's on Rodney Parham, and we donate a lot of our clients' clothing to them. They repurpose them, and it's kind of an upscale resale place. And then they donate all the proceeds to Immerse Arkansas and Young Lives. Those are people that those are ministries that help kids aging out of foster care and teen moms. So sometimes it's easier for people to release things if they know they're going to a good cause. Like sometimes giving away ratty old towels or something to the Humane Society is a good way to get rid of things like that. On our website on tidynest.net, we have a donation destination page, and we've got all kinds of places where you can donate all kinds of things. So I think it's easier for people to release stuff when they think of it that way. So once you've gone through all your clothing, you can start making decisions about storing. Marie Kondo says to store things from heavy to light, because when your eye goes left to right like that and goes up, it kind of brightens your spirits, she says. And I think it really does help if you store things like items together. So all your pants will be together, all your shirts, all your dresses, whatever, and store them. I store mine by color too. So my short sleeves, my tank tops, short sleeves, long sleeves, things like that. She also says it's not necessary to have a winter and a summer wardrobe. And that's kind of true in Arkansas as well. I know, Becky, you were talking about you had sweaters that you need to store. And mine are stored a little bit farther away right now, but I don't change out a big wardrobe. I'm a Southern California girl initially, and we didn't have separate wardrobes, so I'm not used to doing that. But she thinks keeping all your clothes in the closet is kind of a better way to keep things kind of honed down to what you really love. So go through all those sweaters, even if they're kind of in storage right now, and make sure that you love all of them.
But
yes,
I did want to ask: what is the best way to store sweaters? Have you found? Because some of them are bulky, and I wear them a lot to work because my office can get cold,
right.
But I go outside and I'm hot. But what is the best way to kind of store those sweaters? Because they're hard to fit in a drawer, and if you hang them, they get the they stretch out and get the weird.
We have ours stored in and put on shelves in the closet, so we've just got them stacked up on shelves. Yeah.
Okay.
And then somebody's asked me before too, can they hang T-shirts? You can hang whatever you like. And Marie Kondo's not going to come to your house and check what you have hung and what you don't. One thing she says is things will let you know whether they want to be hung or not. So you wouldn't want to fold a shirt like this. And my husband's T-shirts, we used to fold them up and put them in the drawer, but now we have space because he's gotten rid of so many things. So we do hang those. His regular T-shirts are hanging in the closet, and there's just easier for him to get to. So it's up to you whether you want to hang things or fold them, and I'll show you some folding techniques in just a couple of minutes when we get through this little list. So try to think of different ways to store things as well. Don't store something a certain way just because that's the way you've always done it. Can you get that? My older daughter's calling, sorry. Okay, so clothes is first, and that also includes accessories, jewelry, shoes, things like that. The second category is books. And it always cracks me up when I talk to library groups because they're all like, oh, I don't want to get rid of any of my books. But just make sure that you're going through every book and holding each one. It makes a difference. Our younger daughter, Carly, we all love books. We homeschooled. We had hundreds and hundreds of books. And when I was doing the KonMari training, we had to go through our own house. And she said, I went through my books and I'm getting rid of these. And she had a stack of about 10. And I said, God, that's great. Did you hold each one of them and take them off the shelf? And she said, do you think that's really necessary? And I said, I don't know, let's go down and see. And so I sat with her. I didn't tell her what to give away and what to keep, but she actually took each book and held it in her hands and contemplated it for a minute. And she got rid of about 30 more books. There's something about taking them off the shelf and holding them. Don't open them, but hold them. And it makes you feel which ones you should keep and which ones you can let go. And sometimes if you bought a book, but you read a little bit of it and didn't finish it, maybe that time has passed and that book is not for you now, and you can donate it to the library. They'd love to have donations. I'm showing these books right now. So this is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, like I talked about. It has a lot of the philosophy of the KonMari Method, and I think this is a really good place to start. I know you have copies in the library that you can check out. Her second book was Spark Joy, and this is more of a how-to manual, and it has a lot of illustrations on the folding techniques and things like that. I would recommend reading The Life-Changing Magic first. And she's just come out, and Marie Kondo has just come out with a book called Joy at Work. And I just finished reading this, and it has some good ideas about digitally tidying and tidying your calendar, because how many of us go to meetings that really we don't need to go to? So those are 3 good books that are worth reading, and those spark joy for me, so I'm going to keep them. The third category, Becky talked about this a little bit, is papers. And that used to be my least favorite by far. And when other KonMari consultants would say, oh, I love doing paper, I just thought, you're lying or you're crazy, because it's tedious and it's hard and people get tired. They have to go through paper by paper by paper. So you could get through a closet full of clothes in a couple hours, but this much paper could take you the same amount of time. It's just tedious. and hard, but once you get through it, it's like a miracle. It's the best category for me now because it just takes a load off people's shoulders. So I'm going to show you, this is our filing cabinet now. This is it. This is our whole filing cabinet. So you're going to discard the papers that you can discard. You're going to shred, throw away, I'm going to hang on for just a second, or decide to keep. And then when you end up keeping things, you're going to have 3 different files. So these are our 3 files. And on my blog too, you can, if you want to go back, I have more detail about each of the categories, kind of pictures and things to show to make this easier. But these are the categories. The first one is take action, and that's things like bills to pay or invites or something like that. And the only one we have in there right now is this Class B tax bill, because we try to keep this as empty as possible. My husband pays all the bills online, and I don't want to have paper building up. The second one is save temporarily, and that's things like our tax returns, insurance papers, warranties. If you're a parent of children in school, it could be calendars or school menus or phone lists, something like that. And you don't separate these into different categories. You just keep it in this one category, and it doesn't take very long. If you're looking for something, you can just flip through this, and as you're doing that, you kind of can look at this and say, oh, okay, I don't need this after all, and you can get rid of that. So it kind of keeps you filing through all the time. The third one is save long term. And in there we've got wills, we've got car documents, things like that, things we need to keep for a long time. So that's it, 3 files, that's it for us. When you get the mail every day, I just got ours and I put most of it in the recycling straight away, but if you have things that have your name on them and you want to get rid of those and recycle them, you can use one of these things. It's called a redactor, and it just has a roller on the bottom, and you just roll it across. I don't know if you can see this. You just roll it across your name or any of your info, and you can put that straight into the recycling. So this sits right by our recycling bin, and when we get our mail, we deal with it right away, because if you go 2 or 3 days without going through your mail, it's just, it turns into a headache. So I would suggest that you take care of your mail every day if you can. All right, so that's papers. Like I said, it's hard, but once you get through it, it's easy to keep up with. The other files in this filing cabinet are just our tax forms, and I think you need to keep at least 3 years. You can talk to your accountant, but you don't need to keep as many as you think. But again, you keep whatever feels comfortable for you. I did an accountant. I helped her with all her paper, and it took us, I think it took us about 20 hours to get through all her files, and she ended up keeping 10 years of taxes because that's what felt comfortable for her. I think you got my one paper. Thank you. All right, the fourth category is called kimono. It's Komono, and that means it's Japanese for miscellaneous, and it's everything else in your house other than sentimental items. It's things like cooking things, sports things, DVDs, anything like that, anything other than the categories we've talked about or sentimental items. We have a few DVDs up here, and the way we went through those, this is the way you can go through things that your whole family owns. I took all of them out. I went through everyone, held everyone, and set aside the ones that I wanted to keep. So that pile was, we were going to keep that as a family. Then my daughter went through and got all the ones she wanted, and pulled those out, and then those were added to the keep pile. And then my husband went through the rest, which was almost all the rest of them, and he kept all those, so we really didn't get rid of much. But that's the way you can honor everybody in the family and not get rid of something that somebody else might want to keep.
We did have another question about being a paper hoarder. How do you know if something, how will you know you don't need to keep it, and how long do you figure out how to keep it? I mean, I know taxes is a whole issue, but
right,
your receipts and stuff like that.
Yes, it's going to be different for everybody. And if you're keeping receipts for a business, I would keep them at least for a year. But so many things now you can scan and keep online. My husband's going to do a blog post about keeping things digitally because it's so much easier. He's got some app that he takes pictures of, and then he knows how to search for things. But if it has a seal on it, like an official seal, you should keep it. If you can find it online, if it's an instruction manual and you can find it online, I probably wouldn't keep it. If you can Google it and find the information, I probably wouldn't keep it, because nobody's going to go look in a file if they can just Google something.
Yeah. I learned last year that I could use my iPhone and scan documents and email them or wherever I need to keep them. So.
Right. And it's super easy to search for them too. I was kind of leery of that because I was a paper person, but it really is easier to find them than trying to find them other ways. And this book has some interesting ideas about keeping your files on your computer organized as well, so it's easier for you to search for things. That's a good question. Okay, once you've gone through the other categories, the kimono, you need to subcategorize in that category. So let's say you have a garage full of things. You're not going to want to just go in and start going through the garage. Separate it into like items, like maybe put all the sports equipment in one place, the camping equipment in one place. Subcategorize as much as you need to make it easy for you to make decisions. All right, and the last category is sentimental. So we don't start with this category because it is the hardest one for most people, although I had someone whose clothing was the hardest. I'm going to just tell you a quick story. We went to her house. It was one of our first clients, and my daughter was with me, and we said, okay, we're going to do clothing. This should be easy and fast and fun. And so I handed her a t-shirt, and she said, oh, I just love this t-shirt. This means so much to me. And I said, oh, where did you get it? Were you with someone? She said, yes, I was with my aunt, and it's so special. He said, where'd you get it? Was it on a vacation? We got it at Walmart. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to take a long time. And she was attached to every piece of clothing. But for the most part, that's not the case. And so by the time you get to sentimental items, you're used to making decisions. Do you know what? Excuse me. And it's easier for you to decide what sparks joy. This is for sure the category where if something sparks joy for you, keep it with confidence, but try to use it. Try not to have to put things in boxes and store them away in a closet because it's meaningful. You know, who knows how long we all have. Today is special. If you're saving something for a special day, I say use it. That's me. We don't have anything stored away really for a special day. So see if you can use it to decorate somehow, or just if it's special china that your grandmother had, use it. She would be happier if you used it, probably. Okay, so those are the 5 categories. And now I'm going to do a little folding demo for you, because that's another big part of the KonMari method. The way that she teaches you to fold clothing makes it honestly a pleasure to fold and a pleasure to put things away. So he's changing the camera angle here. First, I'm going to show you how to, well, let me show you one other thing here. So these 2 containers have the same amount of clothing in them. It's just that one of them is so much tidier than the other, it doesn't look like such a big mess. So I'm going to show you how to fold all the things in this container. All right, here's the t-shirt. So this is what I was talking about earlier with Thankfully, my favorite place. So you take the t-shirt and flatten it out like this. And then you fold it in a third of the way. And then we're going to fold the sleeve back. Smooth it down nicely. We're going to fold the other side across and then fold the sleeve in. And children can do this too. I had a 3-year-old who was able to do this, and she helps her mom now fold all her laundry. It's not perfect, of course, but it's great for her to start learning. Okay, so while I was talking there, I just folded the top up to the bottom. And then we're going to fold this part in thirds. And then when you're finished, it should stand up like this. So this is a major tenet of the KonMari method too. We're going to put things in our drawers like this, kind of file folder method. And so when you look in our drawers, it's just colors like this. It's easy to see what you want. The things aren't stacked on top of each other, causing wrinkles and getting smashed. And if you have to pull something out of the bottom when it's like this, you're going to upset everything else. So this keeps your drawers nice and neat, putting things away like that. So long sleeve shirts. Becky, this is how you could fold your sweaters.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same. You just take it and flatten it down. Marie Kondo says you're putting energy into it. It kind of does get the wrinkles out when you flatten it with the force of your hands. You're going to fold this a third of the way in. And then the sleeve's going to come across and down. And if you need to tweak these methods a little bit, that's fine. You're going to bring that side over, and then the sleeve again across and down. And then we're going to fold this in half. And then this is a little thicker, so I'm probably just going to fold that in half, and it'll stand up by itself pretty well. So I'm going to put that in here. Pants. I hang all my pants now because I have enough room. My daughter folds hers, so you can do whatever works for you. You're just going to fold them in half like this. And then if you need to bring this, tuck the seat in, you can tuck that in. These are pretty small. We're going to bring that down to the bottom, the waist down to the legs, and then fold it in whatever you need to do to get it into your drawer. Typically we fold things in thirds, but if you need to fold it in half, then you can do that. And again, we've got that so it can pretty much stand up. Okay, a lot of people have their socks folded like this, and if you have that, maybe undo them because they end up getting like this. So it's better if you take your socks and stack them. Plus then it's easier to see which socks are which rather than having a bunch of potatoes in your drawer like Marie Kondo says. You're going to stack one on top of the other. And then these are my husband's, so I fold them in half and then half again. And then again, they just line up in his drawer like this. These are mine, they're a little bit smaller. So I just, instead of folding in half and in half, I just fold these in thirds like that. All right, here's some of his underwear, which I'm not allowed to call panties. So we just lay those out, fold them a third of the way in, a third of the way in, and then I flip them over so the seat part is tucked in, and then a third and a third. And again, you're going to fold it whatever will fit your drawers. Our drawers are pretty deep, and so I can make things kind of high. The drawers that are shorter, I fold things more so they'll fit inside the drawer. It's a beautiful thing about the KonMari method. You don't have to smash things down to close your drawer. These little pads, I just fold those in half like that. All right, a cami. You're going to just treat this like a t-shirt. Fold it a third of the way in again, a third of the way in, and then pretend that these are the shoulders. And we'll just bring those down. And then they're going to be kind of hidden in here and protected. So we're going to fold that in thirds again, like that. And panties, put face down, and then bring the crotch almost up to the waistband. Fold this a third of the way in, and another third of the way in, and fold it in half, and then those will stand up too. And it looks so nice when you pull your drawer out and your underwear are all lined up like this. You can see what you want right away. It kind of looks like a lingerie store, and it just makes you feel good. A lot of people say the first thing they go and buy after they have tidied up is new lingerie, which I think is kind of funny. Okay, here's the big one, the fitted sheet. Nobody likes folding these, but there's an easy way to do it. So what you do is you find the corners. Fitted sheets used to have just a little bit of elastic on each corner, but elastic all the way around. So I'm going to find the corners here and then pull this straight so that this elastic part falls in. Pull taut, lay that down. If you're doing a queen or king size, you may have to lay this on the bed. And then find the other corners. And you can see now when I pull that tight, it drops that elastic kind of uneven edge in. Join the corners up together and then just shape this out. I don't know if you can see it, but somebody said that looks like a big pair of underwear. So that's what you're aiming for. Lay that down. And then we're going to bring this nice, smooth, even edge up to the top. Smooth that out. And then I turn this over. Because here's that bottom part of that triangle. And then I'm going to fold this a third of the way in. And again, you're going to fold this for whatever size your drawers or your closet are. Bring the other side a third of the way in. And then I'm going to fold it this way and this way. and then it can fit in here next to the flat sheet. That's my favorite thing to do, is fold these sheets. I never thought I would say that. Okay, let's see where those questions are. Just grab me that. Okay, so some of the other questions, unless you guys have questions.
Well, looks like we don't have any at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
What time are we looking at? Okay, I'm gonna see. Here's something that a lot of people ask me: can I tidy for my husband? Can I tidy his things? And according to Marie Kondo, the answer is no. You tidy your own things, take care of your own stuff. If you can make a deal with them to say that the common areas in the house will be tidied, you have to let them do their own thing. And don't get a dark trash bag. I've had people ask me this. Don't fill up a dark trash bag with their stuff and take it out in the night. So that doesn't build any trust. It's kind of like if you start exercising, and if somebody sees you exercising, maybe they'll join in with you, but nagging is probably not going to help. People have asked me if they can buy gift certificates for their parents or their friends or their spouse or something, and I will do that, but generally if someone is not asking for help themselves, then it's probably not going to work. I've worked for a woman and we did a lot of her house, and then she hired me to do her daughter, and her daughter was not on board, so that didn't go very well. So we just did a session and then said, that's okay, we're not going to continue on with this. A lot of people ask me how long it will take, and that totally depends on how many things you have and what you need to go through and how quick you are at making decisions. Some people can get through this process really quickly, and other people, like the girl with the t-shirt, just take a long time, and that's okay. It's different for everybody. Can you do this on your own? Absolutely. Some people need a little help. Some people can totally get the book, read it, and go through and do it on their own. I did that. All the other consultants did that. So definitely people can do that. Sometimes you just need a little bit of help, but sometimes you definitely can do it on your own. Let's see. Some other people have asked me, do they need to go in the exact order that Marie Kondo suggests? You don't have to, but I think I've seen more success when people do it that way. Something that she's got going on right now at KonMari.com is a challenge. Sorry. KonMari.co. It's a 6-week challenge. Sorry, 8-week challenge. And it's a decluttering challenge that's starting now. So if you want to join in on that, I think it'd be great. She's going to give you lots of hints and ideas and kind of keep people accountable and keep you encouraged. And she's just, she's a nice lady. I went through training with her, and she's just so calm, and she just makes you want to make your house calm as well. One more thing. A lot of clients have said, okay, these clothes don't fit me now, but when I lose weight, they're going to fit me. I typically suggest keep what fits you now, and people look better in things that fit them, no matter what size you are. Get clothes that fit right now, and then if you lose weight, you can sell the ones you have or donate them and get some new ones. But Marie Kondo doesn't suggest keeping different size wardrobes. I know some people have medical issues where if they're on a certain medication, they tend to retain some water, and so they keep a few extra clothes for that. But by and large, she doesn't suggest that you do that. That's about it. Becky, do you have any questions?
Well, I kind of have a question, and when I watched your program last year, I kind of did some decluttering, but I also found I liked clear containers that you can see what it is, and then I also like pretty containers because then you see the joy of what you've done. So I've really tried clear, or if it's something I know it's going to be my sweaters up on the closet, it's okay to have it in a basket. But if I have some craft supplies, I like seeing what's in this little small container, so I'm not looking through all this stuff, and it's really helped.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. And I think getting containers that you love too is really nice. I helped a girl tidy her bathroom she just had so many things. We put everything out from her bathroom on her king size bed, and it covered the bed, like all kinds of cosmetics and things. and she ended up keeping very few of them. She would just try something and wouldn't like it, but she'd keep it because nobody wants to throw away that kind of thing. But we ended up going on a little shopping trip, and she bought beautiful little containers, and it makes her happy every time she sees them. But that was after she'd already gotten rid of everything.
Yes, because I love containers and love the idea of them, but I have bought containers and then didn't need them. So I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yes. So, oh, somebody asked about if you have a dog and keeping their stuff neat, their food, their toys, their leashes.
Okay.
I think you have dogs, don't you?
We do. We have a little dog. We have my husband's going to bring his toys. We have a basket that has all his toys in it. It's funny because my daughter, who lives in Chicago, has the same, this is all his toys, has the same basket, and her dog empties it every single day. His toys are scattered far and wide, but our dog just takes one at a time. He's a little more mature than hers. We have his leashes in a drawer, and his leash always goes back in that same drawer. His shampoos and his nail clippers and everything are kept in a one container that stays in our cleaning cabinet. That's one thing we did too, is we put all the cleaning supplies from all over the house in one cabinet. And so that's where we all know to go look for something, so we don't have duplicates under every sink. And so yeah, that's where all the dog stuff is. Keep all their stuff together as much as you can.
Okay. Right. Looks like we don't have any questions. We've got a few more minutes. If anybody has a question, please let us know. Let's see if anything pops up. But have you had any? Oh, go ahead.
Well, one more question. I'm looking at the questions that I've been asked a lot, and one of them was, some people have called and said, "Can you come and tidy my house while I'm at work?" And no, if you know the KonMari method, I can't do that for you because I wouldn't know what sparks joy for you.
Right. Okay. But I would highly recommend, you're not somebody that's going to go fuss at somebody for keeping something. It's their decision. Mm-hmm. And, that's to me a good thing. And that would be a scary part of somebody coming to my house and they're going to make me get rid of stuff I don't want to get rid of.
Right.
Yeah.
There's none of that. It's no judgment. I don't know why you want to keep something. Sometimes people will tell me, I hear a lot of stories. If you want to keep something, if it's meaningful and it's useful and it's beautiful, then definitely keep it.
Right. We did have another question. What's your favorite way to store Tupperware? Like all the containers and stuff.
Okay. We've kind of transitioned away from those. We have a lot of glass mason jars with plastic lids. So we put those in one drawer that pulls out. I have several different sizes. And then I have glass, kind of rectangular glass containers, and they all have the same lid. So all the lids are in a box and the containers are stacked up. So I don't have a whole bunch of different sizes of that. But if you have the room, I would keep the lid with the container as much as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's, if anybody has a question, let us know, but that's about it. Have you had any bad experiences with helping somebody besides maybe the daughter that didn't want to do it, or
and that wasn't a bad experience. It was just like, she's not ready, so that was fine. I've had a couple situations where it was two situations where I think it was beyond me. It was like a hoarding situation, and those people did not want to get rid of anything, and it was it was a psychological war in that kind of arena, and it was sort of beyond how I could help them. So we talked about different ways they could seek help. So that's pretty much it. And that's been over a couple of years, just two people like that. So otherwise, everybody they're just wanting help, and it's not embarrassing. Things get out of hand easily. I helped my mom with her house, and she had stored. It's interesting because she was giving away things, and she said, "Who wants these gloves?" And it was the gloves she wore in her wedding, 50 some years ago. And she was going to throw them away, but she wanted to keep like 14 yardsticks. It's just so interesting. It's funny the way people think. So sometimes just having someone else sit there with you, helping you go through things makes you look at them in a different way and realize, why am I keeping 16 yardsticks? There's no reason for it. So, yeah, sometimes I ask questions, but a lot of the time I'm just listening.
Right. Oh, we did have one question from Kimberly Thrower. Are there any tips that we may not have seen on the Netflix series, which I guess she means in KonMari?
Right. That's
Kondo.
a good question, because if you haven't seen the Netflix series, it's worth watching. One thing I want to tell you about that is it looked like Marie Kondo came in and gave them like, half an hour and then left, and they did everything on their own. But there were consultants that stayed there with them and helped them work through the things. And it didn't look like they were kind of going in the order that she recommends, because they were editing and things like that. But I think you got a good feeling of the philosophy that Marie Kondo wants us all to embody, and that's no judgment. She was always smiling, always happy. She never made fun of anybody, and that's the way that we go in, because these are your things. They're very personal to you. So I don't think there are any other special tips other than what you saw on the show, really. Just that it takes a lot longer than it looks like it did on the show. There were months and months and months in doing that, not just a few weeks.
Right. And you're based out of Little Rock, right?
Correct. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And you have your own business, the Tidy Nest, and it can be easily Googled and all that stuff. Yeah. And if anybody has any questions later, to send you an email or call. Yeah. So
there's a place on my website to get in touch with us, and we get emails from people. And if you just want to ask questions, I love just emailing people. There's no obligation or anything. I love just answering questions and encouraging people. And like I said, the website is, did you just log us out? Okay. The website is also includes a blog, and I have information about every single category. So if you're struggling with a category, maybe the paper category, you can go back and look at the blog post for paper, and it'll take you step by step through how to do it. I guess my husband has put my email in the corner there.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you for joining us, and we really hope, that with all this COVID, I bet you haven't been out as much, and
no.
Yeah. But that'll give everybody a good head start and start working at home, and maybe realize, hey, I could use some help with this, and
Yeah, like I said, I'm happy to talk to people on the phone or email back and forth, and I just love doing that. So there's no charge for that, obviously.
Okay.
And when this COVID thing is over, then we can all get going again.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us today. And I guess because we're almost out of time, so thank you.
All right. Thanks, Becky.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.